Hello and welcome to High Vibe Astrology. This is Jennifer with the video on Jupiter's ingress into Taurus on May 16th, 2023. Looking at this chart, there are many things that I want to address, especially as we are culminating and finishing up this tour of the nodes in Taurus and Scorpio. There's a lot in this dynamic in this chart that we can use to remain hopeful, to really expand upon the optimism of where we are heading as one human family. And I find it really fascinating that in this chart we have all three rulers that I assign to Scorpio. I mean, of course, Mars and Pluto are the traditional rulers assigned to Scorpio, but I assign Sedna as the third ruler. And in this chart, we have all three involved. We have Mars at 27 degrees of Cancer, opposing Pluto at 0 degrees of Aquarius. Even though it's an out-of-sign opposition, it is still an opposition. But they are creating a grand cross with the North and South nodes, and Jupiter conjunct that North node. Then we have Sedna conjunct the Sun, and it's involved in this profound stellium in the sign of Taurus, involving Sedna, the Sun, Uranus, Mercury conjunct the North node, and Jupiter conjunct the North node. So let's break it down. 3 more degrees to go and 3 planetary rulers that I assigned to Scorpio. And literally, this is, in my view, symbolic of us modulating the lower vibration symbol of Scorpio, which represents the ego. And in this case, I feel it is represented by Mars at 27 degrees of Cancer. Mars as the ego, in this case, wanting to cling to the past, represented by Cancer, which stays attached to certain emotional bonds. And not that emotional bonding is not good and healthy. It certainly is. And we are born into our family unit, our family of blood. This is our ancestry. But we have to recognize what is holding us back from that next modulation. I'm gonna use that word. And that is represented by Pluto in Aquarius. So Pluto is asking us to liberate ourselves from emotional bonds that may be holding us back. And Aquarius is also about our future self. So Mars in Cancer is about clinging to the ancient self, whereas Pluto in Aquarius is asking us to rise out of the ashes of the old and look to our star origin, which is our ancient future self, really, and how we can use that energy to move us forward. Then we have Sedna conjunct the Sun. And Sedna, as that third symbol of Scorpio, represents the eagle, helping us transcend this need to be polarized in either the past or the future, and to stay in the present moment and literally embody, which is a Taurus word, embody that soul essence, who in staying in the moment is able to have access to the past, access to the future, but with eyes only on the present moment, with the understanding that it is our current vibration, our current embodiment of our soul essence that is creating the future, that is simultaneously liberating us from the past and building our future one step at a time, and allowing what we need, what we require for our journey, that Taurus is helping us draw in, helping us stay in balance with this spiritual and material side of ourselves, the spiritual hidden essence represented by Scorpio and that South Node, as the foundation for what we draw to ourselves in the physical world, what we need for our journey, and that's represented by the North Node in Taurus. But Sedna is revealing to us how to be better stewards so that we can just live in fluidity of the ebb and flow of the spiritual and material resources we need for our journey. And Pluto is, of course, asking us to transform our notion of family, of our allies, and move the evolutionary story of humanity forward, calling us to recognize that we have star brothers and sisters that are also here helping us, but they're not going to impose the universal laws on us. We have to organically come into that decision on our own. And I feel that this is the dynamic of this grand cross involving the North and South nodes, Mars in Cancer, Pluto in Aquarius, especially as Pluto forms that square to Jupiter. And Jupiter is quite important. It is the dispositor of Pluto and Venus and Sagittarius, the rulers of Sedna's North and South nodes. Because the last time the nodes were in Taurus and Scorpio was when Sedna was discovered. Sedna was at that time conjunct the Taurus North Node. And all this time, Sedna has been holding out a lifeline and saying there is a third option to overcoming the polarity of the Scorpion ego clinging to the past, the phoenix that endlessly gets caught up in the death of the old and the rebirth of the new. There is a third way, Sedna is saying. That is spiritual sovereignty within, so that we have a conscious relationship with the dynamic and we are overseeing the polarities of the ego and the phoenix. We are consciously choosing to allow the fluidity of life, the ebb and flow of the low and the high, the dark and the light, to simply move through us, to stay in the moment and recognize that every action, belief, thought, deed we engage ourselves in on a moment-to-moment basis is what is creating our future right now. Supporting us in this journey, there are many things that we can learn about Sedna just by studying the ancient myths and legends of Sedna within the context of the Inuit community. But I feel that what is most important to us now in the present moment of our evolutionary process is to look at how Sedna dawned upon us when she was discovered, when she returned to our solar system, or at least within reach and within our consciousness on the outer skirts of the Kuiper Belt. In that discovery chart, with Leo rising and the fifth house placement of the rulers of the lunar nodes, the past and our future, conjoined in the fifth house. This is a remarkable symbol of our return to innocence, our return to play, our return to what truly makes life worth living. All the reasons we can find to celebrate our lives on this planet. And with Sedna conjunct the sun, that is exactly where we are moving at the time of Jupiter's ingress into Taurus, conjunct that North Node at 3 degrees, allowing ourselves to say the buck stops here. I'm not going to allow the past to determine my future. The future is made new with every single moment. That is what I feel the energy of this chart is all about for us. Faith, optimism, hope, but as better stewards, because abundance is not meant to be hoarded. Nothing is meant to be stagnant. It's meant to be fluid. And in this respect, we have help from Venus the ruler of Taurus in the sign of Cancer. In this case, Venus as the ruler of the North Node is helping us with that fluidity. In a water sign such as Cancer, there is an ebb and flow. Mars in Cancer, we look at through the negative lens because Mars is one of the co-rulers of the South Node in Scorpio and what we are learning to modulate or evolve. But Venus as the ruler of the North Node in this chart, in the sign of Cancer, is helping us express the positive aspects, which is to feel what we need to feel as human beings, but not to get stuck, to allow them to flow through us just like water. And as the ruler of the North Node in Taurus, Venus in Cancer is also helping us do this with material things. Taurus helps us magnetize and attract what we require in the physical world. And thank goodness it is the North Node and not the South Node, because the low vibe of Taurus is to hold on to acquire and never release, never let go. That's why Scorpio on the other end is reminding us what we do need to surrender, let go of, release. And in this case, it is any negative experiences we recall from the past, whether it's this lifetime or what we're picking up from the Earth and her history and the trauma that this planet has endured. Because we are connected to this planet, like it or not, and we pick up on the vibe that this Earth has experienced. But our job is to be the medium or the channels to be able to use the Scorpio energy as the alchemist and transmute and transform low vibe expressions into high vibe expressions. And this is what this whole dynamic is asking us to do, to recognize that third option that Sedna is offering to us and has been offering to us since 2003. But this trine between Venus, the South Node, and Saturn is helping us access our emotional nature and balance out the ancient patriarchal way of intellect only, logic only, and repressing our intuitive, imaginative capabilities. This is allowing us to access and give expression to the full range of human emotion to flow through us and not get stuck in one or another, one polarization or another. And as we do that, we stay in balance, we stay in our center. And of course, with Leo rising in Sedna's discovery chart and the fifth house placement of Pluto and Venus, the rulers of the North and South nodes, this is about the inner child and really embracing what it is that speaks to our heart, that nourishes our heart and our creative self-expression, that brings us back to joy, that brings us back to innocence. So it's not about ignoring the lower emotions, because with a South Node in Scorpio, we have absorbed not just our own personal grief, trauma, abuse as human beings. We have also absorbed the memory of Earth's own trauma. But it is now time, as we make our way more and more toward that North Node in Taurus, to release all of those emotions and to focus on the joy, to focus on the balance, the peace, the harmony, and living in harmony with the Earth and all the abundance the Earth has to offer. So that concludes the introduction for this video. There are many more aspects which I will address with the affirmations and frequencies that follow. You'll see the picture of the aspects that I'm addressing, listen to the frequencies and the affirmation that takes it to the highest vibe and expression. Thank you again for tuning in, for all the ways that you support this channel with likes, shares, and comments. And I look forward to being with you again. Until next time, wishing you well. This is Jennifer. Jupiter, Mars, and Pluto for the T-square with Jupiter. I honor the past by letting go of any hurt and by keeping my focus on the present moment so that I receive Earth's infinite abundance. Jupiter, Venus, and Pluto for the conjunction to the North Node and the opposition to the South Node. I can only help others when I stay optimistic about my own future well-being and happiness. Jupiter, Mercury, and Venus for the conjunction with the North Node. Higher consciousness is always guiding me, and I now commit to listening, believing, and following, rather than doubting the signs I receive. Mars, Pluto, and Sedna for the T-square with the South Node using Sedna. I alone have the power to modulate my emotions so that I set myself free from all previous fear, trauma, and guilt. Mars, Pluto, and Venus for the T-square with the North Node. I recognize how far I've come and am grateful to be receiving abundance with a more mature and balanced attitude. Moon and Chiron conjunction. I am a self-actualized pioneer and pathfinder who leads others by example. Sedna, Mars, and Neptune for the sextile and trine. Imagination, intuition, and instincts now blend effortlessly, creating more magic in my life and in the lives of those around me. Sun, Mars, and Neptune for the sextile and trine. I now consciously cultivate my intuition, imagination, and will to create more magic and joy in my world. Sun, Uranus, and Sedna for the conjunction. I release all fear related to change because I recognize how the universe is guiding me to receive more blessings and abundance. Sun, Sedna, and Pluto for the trine. The universe is supporting my ultimate triumph over trauma, which helps everyone else on the planet do the same. Venus, Saturn, and Sedna for the grand trine to the South Node. When I create a healthy outlet for the full range of human emotion, I stay fluid and calm, which ultimately helps the world to heal.